Welcome to Eye Level to High Level, where real talk meets real results. I'm Jimmy Rios, and each week we break down the mindset, money moves, and strategies you need to elevate your life and business. Let's level up. Welcome to the Eye Level to High Level podcast. My name is Jimmy Rios. I'm your host today. This is segment 2 with Jeremy Stepp of Synergy. Jeremy, give me the full name of your business.
Synergy Wealth Insurance and Planning. And again, thank you for having me today.
Jeremy Stepp was with us in our last episode, and we started going deep, and so we had to continue the conversation because he's a good friend of mine. He's an expert in the Rios Business Advisors. We rely on his expertise to help a lot of our clients, and today we're going to talk about leadership lessons, legacy planning, and what the future of wealth looks like. I had a couple questions for him from the last segment that I wanted him to really start us off with. And one of those questions that I had was regarding if you could tell your younger self one thing about money, what would it be?
I could tell myself when I was younger, one thing that would be find someone like you. I'm serious. And the rule of 72 and understanding the idea that how compounding interest can make you or break you. And really just don't do stupid with zeros on the end.
Right.
You know, we money, you can make money, you can lose money, you can earn it again. I've been there. I know, Jimmy, you've been there.
Yes.
But it's the time.
Right.
It's the time, right?
It's
I'm
finite.
49 and I look back and I'm like, darn, I remember that 20-year-old kid.
Right.
Where'd the last 30 years go?
We're both turning that corner, right? I'll be 50 in February. Your birthday is?
October.
Oh, so yours is coming up?
Mine just passed. So
Oh, so you're 40. You just turned 49.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So I'll be older than you, I guess. So, but one thing I wanted to talk on is the importance of legacy, right, and leadership, right. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Now, for you, how has leading Synergy WIP shaped you personally?
It's really pulled me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that I do every day in relation to my business that are things I've been doing since I rode along with my dad when I was 10 years old. But it continues to pull me out of my comfort zone because I'm constantly learning. You know, when you're an insurance broker and you have access to hundreds, literally I have a spreadsheet of hundreds of different companies depending on what category. And then in those companies, they have different different specialties or products that they focus on. So, you know, you're exponentializing this thing. But learning is just nonstop. And taking time to understand what the customer wants. So yes, while I may give a quote to get it to the customer quickly, I want to take time to circle back, especially if they want to move forward with it, to go line by line.
Yes.
On that quote, and to make sure, hey, I'm putting it out all on the table because I don't want there to be any misunderstandings. I want to answer all your questions. I had a customer one time, because I was looking at a product guide from the insurance company. She said, "Oh, you must be new." No, I told her, I said, no, it's a matter that because I'm a broker and I represent so many different companies, and I want to make sure that what I'm telling you is right. So I'd rather read it from the product guide to you so that you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, so there's no
Right.
misunderstanding.
Makes such that part when you said that line by line is very important. Now, I'm not the analytical one in my family. My wife Sylvia is extremely analytical, and she's licensed as well, right? Everything that we talk about, but where I'm the sales guy and I'm out there and I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, she's actually in the weeds looking at every policy, every line, what we do need, what we don't need, and she's asking questions. And it's very important because she comes to me, and I've been doing this for 25 years, right? And you would think that I want to sit down and go over that. I'm like, I have an expert that you need to talk to, and that's you, right? Not because I didn't want to help myself, obviously I do, but I feel that taking it to somebody that is not directly tied emotionally to our money or this or that, that can give us an unabridged, segmented look at what we have and then listen to what we are asking. That's better than me, because I might just be like, maybe I'm having a bad day, and we're like, just get it, and I haven't even looked at it, right? So when she came to me and she said, hey, on this policy we used to have, we were covered for what was it? I think it was road hazard and glass, right? Well, I think our mechanical warranty covers us for some of those things, right? And we were basically double coverage, right? And from listening to you with people putting claims for windshields and things, if I have another insurance policy because of a warranty, mechanical warranty, and I can use that, then I don't necessarily need it on my personal policy, right? And still get the same benefit, but ultimately it lowered our insurance, right? When you did the quote. And let me tell you guys, when you're starting to do these things, every penny counts, right? If I can get like-to-like coverage or better, have an agent that's attentive to my needs, now I can take that money and put it to work. And I always talk about putting money to work because it becomes a third arm or a third hand that you have to your disposal. And you're not having to go work for that money, right? It's working for you. If I can put X amount and make 10X, 5X, whatever X, right? That's money that I can put for other things, right? Like buying life insurance or other products and services that my family needs that I didn't think were possible, right? So I talk about this very vehemently because a lot of people don't think about it like that. And I'm always learning. I learned just from those quotes that we got from you, and going back and looking at things. So another question I had for you was, I believe in teams, right? I built my business as I was solo until I wasn't. Right? I needed help. One of the hardest things was learning how to delegate and find the ability to get more help. How has that part challenged you? Because you're an agent and you started probably pretty similar to how I did. But how important is working with your external team? Because I'm sure in everything that you do, you depend on the help from others to help you get these things. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, I was sole proprietor for 11 years,
Right,
and I wore all the hats.
right.
So anybody who's been there knows, you do everything. And there's a point in time where that dog don't hunt anymore. And it's not scalable. And if you don't show up, you don't get paid. So all you've done is created a job for yourself.
Right.
You bought yourself a job. So I have business partners within insurance, and these business partners, they are extremely important because I have to go and I have to realize that, I'm one person.
Right.
I only have so many hours in a day.
Yep.
I'm now licensed personally in 8 states.
Nice.
I have, but I have access to insurance products in nearly every single state in the union because of my business partners.
Right.
And so a good example is I'm working on getting my license approved by California right
Right.
now, but I have customers that need quotes.
Yeah.
So I'm working with one of my business partners who is licensed in California,
Very nice.
and she knows already that I'm just waiting for California to just pull the trigger and say, yes, here you go. And so she ran the quotes, I gave them to the customer.
Beautiful.
But if I didn't have those people to work with me, then that we all benefit each other. Again, synergy that
Yes. Goes back to it.
I wouldn't be able to do it,
Right.
or it'd be extremely difficult. And that goes also on the other side of the number of times I'm on the phone with an insurance carrier. I'm, every day, because those people are giving me significant amount of support.
Right.
They're saying, hey, you know what? This is important.
And feedback.
And I'm like, well, I want to make sure. I wrote a Geico policy for a customer last night, and he's struggling with getting his all his paperwork signed electronically. So I asked them. I said, "Hey, he's struggling with his stuff, you know, with the app and everything like that. Can I just go and can I just get this done somewhere else or some way else?" So I asked Geico. I'm like, "Hey, can if he signs this stuff for me, can I just upload it to the portal? Is that acceptable?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, as long as it's done by this date, you're good."
Right.
So, again, it's just a workaround.
Sure.
It's how can I get this done? But that's with the carrier,
Right.
because they want us to be successful too.
Yeah.
Because if they don't sell policies, they're not in business either.
It makes a lot of sense. Now, recently I had the pleasure of going to Florida, and I taped a segment of what's called Legacy Makers. And this is a show that is sponsored by Insight Success. It'll be shown on one of the streaming channels coming very soon. It's Jimmy Rios, the eye level to high level story. And this is exciting, right? Legacy making. Now, how do you define legacy in your personal and professional life?
For years, for me, it's been, what am I leaving behind? Like, how am I impacting? How am I impacting where I'm at? My parents told me growing up, and I've reinforced it with my children, who are now basically grown. One's 18, one's going to be 17 next month.
Yeah.
That the idea that if you come home complaining about something and how something isn't good in society, what's the first thing that's going to come out of my mouth? And they know, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
It's easy to complain about something, but it's more challenging to take action.
Right.
And that's part of legacy building, not just personally but professionally. Professionally, I want to help change the insurance industry, because the number of people I talk to that have such a bad taste in their mouth from previous experience with insurance companies, insurance agents that roll out to rip them off and things like that. It really breaks my heart, because I know there are a lot of good agents out there, but I also know that there's a lot of things wrong with our industry. A good example would be if I have someone ask me for homeowners insurance, and for a quote, and I run that quote with 5 or 6 different companies, and everything being equal, the coverages and the deductibles and everything else, and I get 5 or 6 different premiums, and I'm not talking $3 or $4 a year. I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year. I've saw one that ranged from like $1,000 a year all the way up to over $10,000 a year. And it makes me stop. Yes, we are in a free market. I'm not advocating for the government to come in and control that. But it makes me stop and ask why.
Right.
Why are these differences so drastic?
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why people get turned off.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I was also thinking about when we talk about legacy. You have two kids. You have your wife, but you came from a family, and your father just recently passed,
Yeah.
and my condolences in your loss. But you were in some of the posts that you put on Facebook. You give a lot of homage to your father, and I really respect that. He was a veteran. He did some beautiful things in entrepreneurship, and having brought that to you as legacy making, right? It goes beyond sometimes the money factor. Everybody puts so much emphasis on the money factor, but we always want our kids to have better than what we did, right? And we look at our kids. I have the boys will be 17 tomorrow, the twins, and my daughter's 19. So very similar to yours, right? And I think about legacy, and I wonder, and I'm going to ask you because I read a book by Garrett Gunderson. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read it, but it's called "What Would the Rockefellers Do?" Okay, and it really talks about wealth and insurance. How does wealth and insurance and legacy building come together? What's your take on that? Without reading the
Yeah.
book, but just your own understanding.
Well, I mean, I have read the book,
Have you good?
but
Yeah.
um, actually, I listened to it on Audible. But
Yes.
my kids get on me all the time. You can't say you read the book if you
Right.
listen to it on Audible.
I'm always on Audible.
So, um, when you're using life insurance, the right kind of life insurance, like an IUL, like an indexed universal life product, things like that, when you're using the right vehicle and
Right.
it's set up appropriately, because there are celebrities like Dave Ramsey and stuff like that who talk about whole life as being something from the devil. And a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, yes, the old products were terrible, and the people,
Sure.
the way they set them up, were terrible. This isn't that.
Right.
This is not that. And but the way you set it up, and you use that index universal life, and you stack it with as much cash as the government allows,
Right.
and you open as many as you can. Um, and it's not just for people, it's for corporations.
Right.
J.C. Penney, the department store. Well, it was founded by a man named J.C. Penney,
Right.
and he used index universal life policies that he had to help keep his business afloat during the Depression.
Sure.
Walt Disney, the same thing. Because the Walt Disney Corporation, Disney Studios, would not provide him with any financial help for his gamble with building Disneyland.
Right.
He used money from his IULs to go ahead and to help come up with some of that financing. And what like Garrett Gunderson talks about in that book is the idea that, and people need to understand that a life insurance policy like an IUL, it's not an investment, it's a savings vehicle.
Right.
And if it's an index universal life, not a variable,
Right.
just a fixed, it's tied to the market so that it's like a stair step. Every time the market goes up, your savings amount goes up. But if the market drops, it has a floor and it doesn't go below that.
Right.
So that's great. And then what Garrett Gunderson talks about and what the wealthy know is that, and you addressed this earlier, if I want to take a loan from my IUL,
Right.
then as long as I'm not withdrawing money from, beyond what the initial principal was,
Sure.
I'm taking a loan. Yes, there's a small interest rate on it because it's a loan, but the IRS doesn't tax loans.
Right. Yep. Big point.
So, you
It's a big
know,
point.
with all y'all that are out there saving for your kids' college funds and in the federal government approved accounts, I'm telling you, those are tied. Those are tied to the markets, like your
Yep.
401ks, your 403bs, um, and when the market crashes again, and it will crash.
Right.
I mean, we've had it in 2000,
It
2001,
happens.
2008. It's a
It's a
regular
perpetual
thing.
motion. You just know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, right? Again, we always want to transfer risk. I'm not against other tools, but I'm definitely more for tools that could put me more in control, right? Where I can start seeing some positives. I can start using my money in the ways that I need to, right? To be able to do the things I want to do, not be stuck with like a 401k where I can't touch it until I'm X number of years old. Well, if I'm 30, right, that's a very long time away. And then there's a lot of things they don't tell you, like what's the tax rate going to be in 30 years when I can use it? I mean, people, are you going to be healthy enough? Are you even going to be able to use it? What if you die before? So there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't tell you that. And they don't tell you that at the job when they come around and say, hey, sign up. It's better than not having nothing. Putting money to work, if they match you, that's great. But you need to have advisors that can talk to you through different perspectives. Many times our perspectives come from our own experiences, right? Not because it's always negative. It's just we learn from others that have shown us different things. And that's what I think where wisdom comes from over time, right? Is part of it is from experiences. A lot of it comes from observing and getting it from others. That's why I read so much. I'm always hearing others and emulating the good, and trying to minimize the bad. Let's talk about the biggest shifts you see coming in financial services. What are some of the you've been doing this now for a while, and there's been a lot of movement in the markets, right? Insurance, one of them. What give us some insight as an insider, expert in that realm. What are some of the things you're seeing?
From a financial perspective, I think if you live in any type of large community, you can look around and you can see that the big name banks, Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Chase, they're shutting down physical locations.
Right.
They've decided that we don't want to do that anymore. We want to save the money and just do online and virtual banking, which I think in the end, and I could be completely wrong, but I think in the end is probably going to come back and bite them in the butt in about 5 or 10 years.
Right.
Because there are some things, like with my business or something like that, there's some things where, you know what, I would really like to actually do it at a place, not just online. But regarding insurance, we're also seeing it. You know, Jimmy, our hometown, Tempe, Arizona, was
Yeah.
just struck horribly by
Microburst. It
yeah,
got
by
hit.
microburst.
Yep.
And
Saw
I was
that.
driving to my parents' house up College Avenue, and all these Palo Verde trees that the city of Tempe had planted 20 years
Gone.
ago as a beautification project were all knocked down like dominoes. And looking at the giant trees that literally crushed apartment complexes, that literally this storm literally ripped off um, roofs off commercial buildings, things like that. That we've seen this challenge in Texas and Louisiana and Florida with hurricanes and tornadoes. We've especially since our neighbor to the west with California. We've seen this in California with all the wildfires and the flooding and things like that. That with climate change occurring, and we can argue about what's causing that, but with climate change occurring, that insurance rates are only going to go up.
Yep.
And it means that it's so important to make sure that we're taking advantage of every single way to get you a discount. So if you have an old roof, we need to get you in touch with Jimmy so that you
Yep.
can get involved in his program, so that you can go ahead and get that roof replaced, so that you can get a discount on your insurance.
Right.
Um, if your house needs to be updated, your electrical system, your plumbing, there are a lot of insurance companies today that if your house is over 50 years old, and you have to think 50 years. Well, I'm 49. I was born in 1976, so 50 years ago is 1975. In my mind, that doesn't seem that long ago.
Right.
Right? I think 1960 or something like that. But we're not talking about houses that would be on this old house or some renovation. But a lot
No,
of
it makes
insurance
sense.
companies today, if it's 50 years old or older, they will not touch it unless every system in that house, so by system, I mean air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, has been updated to modern standards.
Yeah.
And most people, the average person, doesn't have that kind of um, cash hanging around to just go and pay a licensed contractor to come in and do those things. And that's where plugging in with Jimmy
Right.
really is a benefit, because they can use his program. They can use your program, Jimmy, and
That's right.
they can then turn around and take some of those profits from their investments
Yeah.
and make sure that their property is up to date, so we can make sure that everything is appropriately protected with the best kind of coverage that we can get you. Because there are products out there that are called non-standard products, or um, you know non-standard or surplus lines, and that those are for risks that are very difficult to insure.
Right.
And if we can find you coverage with that, great, but you're going to pay. It's
Yeah.
not going to be inexpensive.
Right.
And you may not be with an A+ company. You may be
Right.
with a B company.
Now we're starting to see AI come and poke its head in a lot of our everyday activities. I know I use it now. Our company has done a very big push. We even hired a chief AI officer, right? And these are terms that were never heard of before, right? Up until recently. Now, online, there's a lot of online companies, right? But tell me how you use AI and what are some of the fears that you have with the technology, and how could an old school insurance broker like yourself compete with AI technology in this day and age?
So if I was a customer and I had something that was straightforward, it's sort of like when you first start working and you have to fill out your taxes. You get your first W-2, and it's real easy for me to go and fix and just fill out the 1040 easy
Right.
from the post office or whatever. If I had something that was very straightforward, then using something online from a reputable company, okay, fine. But as we move forward, and a lot of the customers I deal with, their stuff is not just straightforward.
Right.
I just wrote insurance policy for a new med spa in San Antonio, Texas. Her stuff was not straightforward.
Yeah.
I wrote a policy for an event planner, or a lady who was volunteering to put an event on for Mother's Day, this last Mother's Day, in the shopping center where her employer is.
Yeah.
But she wasn't making a dime.
Wow.
She was doing it as a volunteer. She just wanted to make sure that she was protected, so that if something happened, that she wasn't going to be bankrupt personally.
Right.
Okay? And so in those instances, these square pegs in round holes, AI online, it's not going to work. It's not one size fits all. You actually need to have a human being talk to another human being to explain the situation
Right.
And that way they can say, yes, we can do that. No, we don't cover that risk. Let me recommend you to this person.
Well, there's also the empathetic side that an AI system, robots per se, cannot give, right? The true value in Jeremy and Jimmy and the individuals that we talk about as advisors and experts in their fields, AI complements us in helping us get information faster, but we still have to put it together. We still have to work with the client in being able to deliver value to them. And it's not always about price. It's about the scenario. It's putting the puzzle pieces together. Jeremy, I could go on and on with you on this, and we only have a 30-minute format. So I wanted to thank you for the wealth of information and for coming on the show. Tell us where people could contact you. For those that are listening or watching, please tell us how they can contact you for more information on their policies and how you can help them.
Sure. So you can find me on the web at Synergy, SYNERGYWIP.com. You can send me an email at info@synergywip.com. You can call or text me at 480-937-0415. Notice I picked that number because it goes along with the 80s song. Right. It helps me remember 937-0415. So, I like it. Call, text, email. I'm on Facebook. There are multiple ways.
I appreciate it.
Send the bat signal. Send the bat.
There you go. Send the doves. Well, listen, big thanks to Jeremy Stepp for joining us today and sharing his journey and his wisdom from Synergy WIP. I think we all learned that true wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about planning, protecting, and creating a legacy with intention. In today's conversation, if it sparks something for you, don't just let it fade. Take action. Connect with Jeremy and Synergy WIP team and start building that financial freedom and security you deserve. Remember, from eye level to high level, it's all about moving with purpose on your path from vision to victory. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and join our community where we keep these conversations going. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and keep creating your legacy. Thank you, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Eye Level to High Level. If you're ready to rise above the average, subscribe, share, and follow us for more ways to take your grind to greatness. Until next time, keep pushing higher.